Hello, good morning, gorgeous people. Oh, we're here a little bit earlier this morning, aren't we, Flea? An hour
A
early.
little bit.
A little. Oh, goodness. The reason why is because it's a big day today. And I was like, let's jump on early. And my mind is like racing through all the things I've got to do this morning before 10 a.m. Because something exciting is happening. And you see that cool dog painting behind Flea, the beautiful one of Hugo. We've been sharing a lot about like our passion, our art, creating, bringing people together. So yeah, one of my other beautiful businesses, Creative Hearts Co. We're opening at our new location at Brookwater today. So I was like, Flea, can we jump on earlier? Because I'm gonna have to put up signs and finish tagging things. So I feel excited, grounded, and scattered at the same time, being in both worlds. But
Mm.
I'm loving just having this moment with you this morning to just ground into my voice, my body expression. How are you feeling this morning?
I love that you brought that up because you mentioned like all the browns today, and I'm sitting here holding my selenite and just going, yeah, really calm, and I feel grounded. I feel really deeply embodied and connected, which is something I haven't felt in a long time. So the last couple of days and last night's full moon shift
Mm.
really did help to just release like the last stagnancy that was kind of just sitting there of this not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, and just honoring that, between the two of us, we really do face the fears head on and transmute them and transform them into something productive. And that there is the beautiful excitement that gets to be. So, everything happens for a reason. I definitely know that when I choose my clothing, when I get ready for the day, it sets the tone and it sets the energy. So, black being a little bit of protection, but black is also every single color. Like if you drop bleach onto it, you'll notice that it'll get different hues, different tones, depending on the colors that they put in to get the type of black that we wear. And so, like, when we put it on, people are like, oh, no, it's dark, it's negative. No, it's not. It's actually all colors combined. And that there is the beauty of wearing blacks, and then like the golds and the warm, earthy colors that really do connect us and ground us into who we are and who we be. Like, we're here on earth. We sometimes I feel like we get disconnected from what that actually means, like the beauty of knowing that we were alive in this particular container that is very unique and very um, dualistic in its properties. And that there is the beauty of awareness and understanding. So I'm feeling really good and grounded, and I'm glad that I can sit here and hold the energy for you in your bright pinks, which is all around self-love and nurturing. And it is very exciting. It's got the red down in the feminine, but also that clean white that purifies the red. So
Yes, I love that. And you gifted me this beautiful, I love this. It just like flows nicely, another little addition. But yeah, I love that you brought the colors in. I was so inspired by the artwork going up yesterday. And in the center, there was this artist that had these really, and his paintings were inspired by his plants, and they had like the purples and the pinks and the greens, and it's just like really vibrant. So we've kind of centered the pieces on either side of the wall, and I was like, oh, the hot pinks. I had like a soft pink with the florals on yesterday, and then today I'm like, right, I'm gonna wear the hot, vibrant pink today, just to bring the energy, the color. It's very exciting. And also, I do love a bit of pink, and I didn't for a long time. I used to wear a lot of blacks. I do love blacks. They're very absorbent and neutral. And it's probably been only the last, 2 years or so I've been like, I need to wear pink more. So color therapy is so beautiful, and it does shift your energy. And we've been talking about making choices and decisions to shift your mindset. And clothing is a really simple one, right? Where if you're not
mm,
in a state of feeling 100%, or you're just feeling really low and shit, you just go to your wardrobe or go put some makeup on or pick some colors that make you feel good. You may not feel like that in the moment, but if you just put it on and let the colors do the magic as well, you start to feel better about your day, and people around you then see and reflect that back at you. What was that beautiful card you put?
Mm. That was the choices and decisions. So sometimes it is a bit of a waiting game, which is down the bottom, but up the top there, the choices and decisions is what really stands out for me. And expecting the best, because we need to remember who we are deep at that core, and that really does come back to what I was saying before about duality and the choices we get to make. So when we think of a choice, that's an opportunity, it's a potential, it's a possibility. Our action, which is the masculine, definitely there as well, is what drives that into a decision. So we have plenty of choices. We have choices every second, what color to put on, how we're going to feel, how we're going to shift our vibration, all of that. That happens by that possibility, by the choice. And when we then actively step into our masculine energy, which is the driving force, it's the right side of our body, and it's what sends us forward into the future. So when we're looking at that masculine energy being the driving force behind the decision, it really is the reason and the logic behind the choice.
Yes.
So, like, what is the intention? What is the potential leadership that we're directing in our own autonomy? So it's very much self-related. We can look at it as the masculine being the emperor, or, men in this particular field, but mostly it's the masculine within ourself. And a
Mm,
lot of these cards, um, they have dual meanings, duality in everything that we are here, but they also are very much self-reflective. So if you're doing a reading for somebody, yes, it is for them, because you're exchanging energy in that sense. You're deciding to go, I'm going to connect to you in this moment and give you a reading. But the thing is, it's the connection. And a true reader will know that that connection is actually for themselves as well.
mm.
And that's, yeah. So that's two of them today. And I'll keep
Yeah.
popping up the other ones, because as they unfold, they generally where lead and follow what we talk about, which is very much both energy. It's the balance.
Yeah,
It's the
and
waiting game. And
the justice balance card that you had there before as well. And yeah, it's so beautiful that you said it in that way. It was very well expressed. I do love how you interpret things. And that action piece, I know being at 20, 21 weeks pregnant, it's interesting when people look at this mother archetype, the nurturer. People always associate it as very feminine, and it is because you're nurturing, but it's also very masculine because you are creating life, you are creating action to look after your children. It's a very dominant energy, and with that mother archetype also comes the martyr. And this is what I woke
Mm,
up waking up in, I actually had cramps in my legs. My body was aching. We got home at like 11 a.m., 11 p.m. And it was a lot yesterday. And even though I wasn't physically hanging things, I was still pottering around doing things. And my body is tired. And that's why I was like, I'm going to make this choice to bring the energy back in. And but that piece around your body and the action you take and the roles we choose to take and be in is again a divine balance of choice and free will versus also, being in the essence of who you are
mm,
at the core. And so, like that mother energy I was talking about, when I started doing this work, I was heavily in the sacrificial energy, and I see a lot of mums and women in general do this for others. You're sacrificing your time, your energy, you put everybody else before you. And that can lead to burnout, anxiety. And I went through those things, depression,
mm,
because I was so out of balance, so heavily in my masculine that I forgot to listen to my body. I forgot to rest as much as I should have or needed, that my body was calling out for. And I stopped listening to the intuition, the expression of what gives me joy. And these are all, I suppose, the pillars that I started working on in my own self-love and self-care to come back into that balance and harmony and that justice within my own
Mm.
self, which took a while to really listen to and go deeper in. And it was almost like my body forced me into rest through situations and circumstances that seemed to be outside of my control so that I could listen more deeply. But going into Easter, it made me think about this morning when I got up in pain. I was like, oh, it's worth it. You know, I got up, I'm like, it's worth it. And this piece around sacrifice and martyrdom, again, duality. Yes, if you push too hard and do this and without reflection and balance, so you can come back, that's where the disharmony happens, and the resistance and the pieces of what are the words I'm looking for, where you start, blaming people, you start resenting. The word resenting, yeah, came up for me a lot, where I resent everybody for not helping me. Why do I have to do it all myself? But I think there's a difference when you notice those patterns and you can go into these roles and then shift back out of them. I think these are some of the lessons that we actually don't talk about, the subtleties of the
Mm.
reflection, because sometimes, yes, we do have to go into these roles and types of ways of being, whether it's a victim mentality. It's okay to be the victim sometimes. We don't have to stay in it though. Villain, there
Mm.
have been many times where I've played the villain, and part of me before recognizing that, I was like, "Oh no, I'm so kind, and I would never do that to really intentionally hurt someone." And no, I wouldn't. But when you step back and go, actually, my actions, my patterns, my triggers, whatever I'm exuding in this moment is being harsh to the person receiving it, or they're receiving it in that way where I'm being the bad guy. And I felt that even in my own relationship with my mother, vice versa. Probably Flea and I as well, my husband Sean and I. And it's those moments where you catch yourself and recognizing and then reflect, where I think are the deep lessons of noticing our humanness,
Mm.
because we're here to experience all the facets. And again, the martyr energy was coming up. We're moving into Easter. It made me think about Jesus and the passion of the Christ and the passion, the fire within us that drives us to be motivated, to be ambitious, to do that action, that masculine energy, and to create things that feel like a sacrifice. And yet it's a choice to do that, and to also notice the rewards at the end. And I think about that energy of the heart being open. And the words that came through this morning was like, what did Jesus say? God, why have you forsaken me? And him in the most human, rawest form, he still chose. He came into this life knowing he was the chosen one, divine. We get to hear the stories, and yet he was still human in that moment of sacrifice and questioning, why me? Why
Mm.
now? And yet still chose that path. And it was like the piece around the passion, the flame within. This is the difference where people get stuck, right? The outcome, the greater reward, the piece around what that sacrifice cost far outweighs, the pain and the suffering. But it's recognizing, I feel, that he didn't stay in that energy. There was a deep surrender and letting go and acceptance of the beauty of what was to come next. And I feel sometimes I've been stuck in that. I'm like, I've been stuck in the martyr. I've been stuck in that. Why is people not helping me? But I feel like the beautiful thing in this lesson of what we've created and co-creating, we've done it in community. We've done it together. and beautiful Flea's coming in later this afternoon. We've got some cool kids that we just reached out to, like, hey, come and do this. And this is the thing around community, togetherness, coming back into oneness, and how we shift in each of those moments. So that was really alive for me this morning when I woke up. I was like, I'm not staying in that energy. I have been in that energy. I'm noticing these things, but I think there's a difference to who I was before to who I am now.
Oh. So the feminine energy, which is the one I held up before, is the nurture the seeds of your dreams. And I feel like the masculine gets a little bit like, it's not all action, it's not all creation, because the feminine energy is actually what is creation.
Yes.
But it's the creation of the dream. So the dream to have a child, the dream to, increase the family, the dream of being, able to support and care for,
Mm,
your family in that way. That's the balance. That's where we start to see that, because the masculine being the protector. It's like, any woman would go, we we really would. This is where thou shalt not commit sin comes into play, because any one of us would do something unspeakable for the ones that we love. And that there is that masculine energy within us going, I'm going to protect what is my dream, what is my passion, what is my seed in that. And that can become the shadow, which was the other card.
mm,
And that's really like looking at the martyr and going, oh, okay, like, where am I playing the victim? Where am I not actually owning and being responsible for my choices? Like, the responsibility is the masculine. Where am I not being responsible for my choices? And, once we make a decision, it's out there, it's in the world. So we can have the choices going in our head. I could do this, I could do that, I could be all things. And it's like, if you look at it this way, so you've got the Empress on one side, the shadow or the moon on the inside, and that light and dark represented. It's that coming to that meeting point in between, and recognizing, okay, well, there is a fear, and fear is the access point. Fear is the decider, because we can have a happy, healthy fear. It's like, oh, I'm anticipating something that I really want to do, and I really hope it goes well, and that's the exact same fear that's like the terror and the harshness of the world. Is like, I don't want to experience that. That's not for me. That's the toxic cycles and all of those. But the fear, this is where in our emotions, and yes, it is on this one, the emotional avoidance. When we don't look at how we feel, when we're not in touch with our true emotions, when we're not able to label them in the correct way, we throw our balance out. That fear becomes all negative. All negative means that we're not growing, we're not coming back into our balanced energy, and we're not progressing with the right decisions for our lives. And I know many of us have had, we can sit there and go, I've made mistakes. Yes, 100%. I wouldn't do that again. But it's in that mistake that we learn that, oh, that's not for me. That's where I need to actually shift and make sure that that doesn't happen again. But a lot of the times that fear or that decision to go, I'm not going to experience that again, actually prevents us from some of the best opportunities of our life. It's like, there's been studies on children that have been traumatized, and how they will basically group into a category the physical features of their tormentor, and will never ever go near anyone like that again. Like, their body just automatically knows, nope, that person is bad for me, because that person is the replication of the tormentor. And in that, like, we are preventing ourselves, because one of those could be your soulmate. And so I'm not going anywhere near that. So until we balance out and we fix that fear, and we understand that that was one person, and we see this a lot with racism and things like that. It's like, we're categorizing people by a group, and it's like, no, it's one person. That person is responsible for their actions. That person is the reason and the logic behind that fear, not the group, not the community. And yes, we do stereotype a fair bit, where we chunk people into, oh, well, there's a lot that do this. Well, that's a lot of people that are in their toxic energy that have put their fears into the negative category and unbalance them. So when we look at our emotions, you've got um, joy and love in your happiness, and then dislike and anger in your negative sort of thing. And then the fear is the balance point. So if you can think of that as the scales where it's tipping from one side to the other, if you don't take the pendulum and go, I'm going to see this as neutral, this fear, and then rationally face the logic within it, look at the reasonings, look at the solutions, and then turn it back to, well, how is this taking me away from what I desire? That's the feminine, that's the nurturing, and nurture yourself back into that health. Then the emotional avoidance is going to rule your life. And this is where emotional intelligence, a lot of our thoughts create our reality. Like, why does this keep happening to me? Well, are you changing anything? Are you actually going from choice into decision and actually making the steps? And sometimes we do make the wrong ones and we have to learn, okay, well, no, that wasn't the right way to do it. But that then can lead back to, well, how can I do it? Because there is always another way.
Yeah.
There's always a different solution. There's always a different possibility or potential. And if we're going to avoid everything that has meaning for us in our life, we end up living a shallow life. And we grow up with regret and hatred and bitterness, and we sit in that negative energy. And that's not where we want to be, because that negative energy is what hurts others.
Yeah.
It's what makes us make the choices that I'm going to take it because nobody's going to give it to me, or I'm going to hurt you because you have something that I desire, that I want, and I'm not strong enough or capable enough to do it for myself. And rather than seeking help or seeking assistance, they fall into the patterns and the trends of, well, I'm just going to go with what I know. And that's not always the way.
So beautifully said. And if you're feeling that, you're like, yes, yes, Marie and Flea. Oh my God, yes. How can we shift fear as a gift, that turning point, that crux, where we get to lean into it? You know that saying, feel the fear and do it anyway? Yes, and sometimes no, because you don't, there's a bit of discernment there. But you know, I shared earlier about leaning into the fear of feeling my final miscarriage and what my body would go through. And it was really actually a beautiful, empowering, hard experience, but I did it. And I feel that for me, I don't fear anything because that was probably my worst fear, to experience pain, death in that way, in such an intimate way for my own body. And yeah, it's, I was listening to a few other pieces, podcasts, or little things that pop up, and this theme that you've been sharing, Flea, it's so alive right now. And knowing if you truly have faith in something bigger, more powerful, in either yourself or the universe or whatever, it's this remembering of, actually, this is a reflection of you, of how big and bright and bold and powerful and loving and shining you are. And it's allowing more and more of that to be felt in your body, in the safety of who you are and the people around you. And this is why I chose to surround myself with like-minded people, why we chose to create Awæcnian Academy, why we chose to, you know, do all the baby steps and the things and lean into the fear of the unknown, and we still lean into it. And like everything that Flea's just said there is like gold. I was like, boom, mic drop, mic drop, mic drop. And this is like our conversations in daily life. I don't want to have superficial conversations with people. Yeah, I do, because it's part of being human. But what lights me up is when we go deeper, you know? And I find that, I think we shared this yesterday actually for both of us, people, when they just start talking to us, then start opening up and sharing their lives or sharing something. because of that safety they feel in our frequency. And then cool things happen in conversation and
Mm.
seeds spark. And yeah, it feels good to like then open up in conversation with people. And sometimes we won't share like the depth of what we share here because we're just, so safe in who we are. And this is our platform. We can do whatever we want, you know? And sometimes we do discern, we pull back, we can feel like maybe they're not quite ready for that. But I might say this thing, or I'll introduce this thing. And Flea shared this before with her pendulums. I love that you brought that back in. Bring that into schools. She brought it in when she did her art workshops, when we did our pop-up gallery, when there were these cool teenage girls that were like super quiet, and then they were like then sparked in what she was doing and then opened up this whole cool conversation before they left. And who knows, like these seeds of thought, of magic, of gold, of openings, you just never know who it's going to impact. And this is why we keep doing this and sharing the way that we are,
Mm.
sharing with our voice, our story in conversation, because whoever is listening to this that's been called in to stop and listen and absorb, we know it's for you. And if you want to work with us because you feel this energy, you feel that wisdom coming through, you feel that shift and transformation that we exude, you can have that too. And you're probably already doing the things. And it's just allowing that spaciousness in your life, in your patterns, in creating systems, rituals, new pathways in your brain to allow that to just become more of your daily. What were those two cards, please?
I love how the minute you said, oh, and how do we fix this? Right at the beginning, I was like, I looked over and on the top of the deck, like I always flip the top over because that then can build the momentum. And it was the firm foundation. And it's like, well, you have to start with the foundation. You have to start with being flexible in the material world because we get caught up with what we should have and what everybody else has. And we don't actually stop and go, is it what I want? Do I really want the big mansion? And, do I really want to work myself into an early grave just so I can have, enough money for an early retirement? Or, like that foundation, like what it means for you. And the triangle is really important because that's the trilogy. That's pretty much what we were talking about. The shadow self is you've got to find the balance point up the top. You've got to face your fears and go and really look inside. And that was the hermit card. So hermit card is all about paying attention. It's reflection. It's the answer is actually within you. And if you look at the firm foundation, like once you form your triangle, your masculine and your feminine energy is balanced. You know what you want from the material world, the masculine, the action, the decider, and you're flexible in how it comes to you. And this is really the intuition. This is the God source energy to say, okay, I don't know how this is going to happen, how this is going to play out, but I'm open to whatever possibilities land in my lap. Then you create the center, which is where we sit. It's where our reflections get answered. It's like, oh, within me, oh, I know I just have to do this. And like I'm smiling and going, yeah, this is great because these cards, they just resonate for me. So I've done very out there readings for people, and one of them I'd like to share because it was so eye-opening but also affirming of my own abilities. I was living up in Gladstone with some teachers, and it was a very funny event because our first meeting, I was, smudging my room with a Santo Palo stick, and the smell actually went up into the aircon vents, and I could hear them all outside in the kitchen going, I don't know where it's coming from. It smells like gas. Like, what is this smell? And I've come out and gone, sorry, it's me. I'm like the little witchy cleansing my room with this and that. And they're like, oh, like that was my first meeting. And through talking with them, it came about that they were very interested in what I do. And it's like, well, I can give you readings. And one of them had spoken to somebody at their work and it's like, we've got these two teachers that really want to come for a reading. Can they come? I was like, yeah, sure. And they bought pizza and they came around and it was all good. But one of them, we were sitting there and it's like, oh, you've got like a love relationship with a past lover that's going to come back. And she just sort of went, stop. No, that's impossible. We haven't spoken. None of this. And I'm like, well, he's going to come back and he's going to contact you and you're going to talk. I don't know if they actually did get together, but while we were doing the reading, he messaged. And it was just like, she's just looked at the phone and then burst into tears. And I was like, what? Like, I'm thinking I'd done something wrong. And she's like, he just messaged me. And it was like, I haven't heard from him in 2 years. And in that moment, he'd messaged. So, like, it, it's taken me a lot to trust myself in this because I'm like, oh, the material world has said that this is evil, that it is taboo, that it's not true, that like you're not getting anything from this. But I know deep within my heart that the reflections and the messages that I get through these cards are true. I don't, they all come with a lovely little book. And like I said, I write on all of my cards because that's what stands out for me. And even though some of them, and one of them was the moon card, I said at the beginning, I said the thing that is standing out the most is the facing the fears, sharing and being vulnerable. And this is one, like telling people that this is what I do and this is how I get my information, that I use a crystal when I go to work. And that there is taboo in itself. Oh, you're moving, like the amount of judgment that I get. Oh, you're moving it, you're doing this and that. And it's like, I will show you, like literally put my arm on a table, like, am I moving it? Is it standing still? And they're like, no, okay, show me yes. And it starts swinging. Show me no. And it changes direction. Show me a maybe. It goes in a circle. And stop. And it will stop. And I've had many moments of these. Like my first real experience was just old wives' tales that I picked up along the way, that if you do the ring test over your wrist, it will tell you how many children you're going to have and what sex. And if you do it over the pregnant baby, the belly, it will tell you what that one is going to be. And it's because of me believing in this and just sharing it with people that I worked with. I had a beautiful staff member that I worked with that had many miscarriages, had really given up hope that she would ever have children. It's like, no, you're going to have three. And she did. And this is the beauty. The only time I got it wrong was poor Rachel. It's like, oh, you're going to have twins, but there's going to be an oopsie really quickly afterwards. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, you'll have your twins. She already had one. And you'll have twins, but there's going to be an oops really quick afterwards. And I thought they were boys, but for her, it was girls. She actually had triplets. Two were identical so two were the identical twins, but the third one was actually conceived 3 days later. They could work that out in the genealogy. So the whoopsie was that the third one was actually part of that same pregnancy. And she came in and she just cried, and it's like, oh, you were right, but you were wrong. And it's like, oh, that's okay. Like, we can't get everything right. And a lot of the time it is just our own energy interfering with that. And I tell the kids the same thing with the crystal. I said, if you're too close to me, if I'm not concentrating on the right person, it's not going to give the right answer. So you have to be patient. You have to take into account that I am still a human being with my own emotions, and that's going to reflect. And a lot of the times with the cards, I get scared to share that because it's like, well, what if it's just my reflection? What if it's just what I think I need and I'm then sharing the wrong information? So I've been scared by that and scared to share that. But the thing is if you're in my energy, then it is for you. And it may not be in the way that I'm explaining it. It may not be the exact details, but that's where the oracle gets to be, because I'm not saying it has to be my way. It has to be my choice of words. I use my words based on my experience. It's what you take away from it. So you might only hear one word, or you might get stuck in, while you were talking, I was fiddling with the knots on my shirt. And I'm like, why do I keep fiddling with these knots? And, the scarf that we were talking about beforehand with the knots. And it's like, yeah, because we tie ourselves up into these stuck patterns, that knots, like you think of, you've got to pull them apart, and sometimes you're using your teeth and you're really getting in there. And sometimes they just release easy. And that there is life and everything. Like I'm showing you now how this channels through me. I'm not saying it's a message from an angel or whatever. It could be. It's what I know to be true in my heart, and that there is the Hermit card and the going within and the reflection. It's like, well, if I'm fiddling and I'm distracted, why? And as you mentioned it, oh, these patterns are being stuck. Now I know why I was fiddling with the knots. Now I know why I got the video beforehand about tying a knot in this way so it keeps my head secure, my headband secure. It's being able to create the right type of knot that makes you feel secure without getting stuck.
Mm.
And that there is how we fix it. That there is what awareness is about. And it's a huge 34-step course. Like there's 34 steps in there. You might only need 3. You may need the whole lot and then go, oh, I'm questioning this, this, and this. And that's where we step in. And that's the beauty of it. It's our journey allowing you to reflect on yours and build your own self-awareness.
I love that.
That's what we're pretty much giving it away. We're not really selling it. And a lot of people have been like, oh, you should give it away for free. And it's like, well, no, that is our journey and we need to be valued because nobody here works for free. And, the more that we can get people in our container, in our community, the more we can give back. And that's where we've got to be, but we've got to be in a position to be able to give back. An Awæcnian dream is to get to that point where we do have, like Creative Hearts, a beautiful little creative hub where you can come and experience painting, where you can come and experience breath work or healing or, all of these modes and modules that seem to be everywhere, but never ever in one spot. And never in a way where you can just walk past and go, I want to be part of that class. That looks like my energy and where I want to be. And that's how schools should be. The teacher in their zone, in their joy, in their passion, knowing exactly what they're teaching. I know that when I do monochromatic work, which is, as you can see, it's colourful, but that was all using black, white, and the same colour. The whole entire thing there. The white to the black to the brown, it was an orange mixed with black and white. Except for the purple. The purple background's different. But the dogs and the teddies, that was all one colour. What can happen when we create with one colour, with one shade? It grows, it builds, and that there, for me, is true teaching, is when I can be in my element explaining the hows and the whys and what I'm getting from it. And imagine if our classrooms were like that, where the kids could go, okay, well, today I need to attend 5 classes. And I'm going to select those classes based on my interests, knowing that when I walk in, I'm covering A, B, C, D, so they can still mark off their assessment. They can still get their degrees and everything like that. It's one step up from a Steiner school and from Montessori schools because it's their interests. It's play-based learning, and it's following a structure that allows them to be accountable for themselves. And that there is another level of our pillars. That there is where we get into self-mastery, because mastery really is beginning with the self-awareness. What is it I'm striving for? Where do I see my life? Do I want to be a mum that's sitting at home and just, doing the things and supportive? I did. I thought that that's what I wanted. I wanted a family home. So that was where my inspiration went. At no point in my education did they say, well, you can actually end up in teaching. You can end up in childcare. You can, create your own business. The thing I have known is that I'm not meant to be small. I wasn't meant to be held down and kept back. I wasn't meant to be silenced. And I know a lot of what I say is taboo and isn't accepted, and that's where the fear creeps in. It's like, are they going to accept me? Are they going to understand me? Well, if you don't, you don't, and that's fine. You're not there yet. But I'm not meant to be silenced because you don't understand me yet. And I say yet because everybody will get there eventually. I didn't know all of this stuff to begin with, and it's been like, oh, that's a bit woo-woo, and oh, I don't know about that. But it's discerning what it means for me and how I'm going to use it. And I use all of this in teaching because a picture says more than the words ever could.
Yeah. Powerful. And you've shared it and said it so eloquently. Again, mic drop, boom. So folks, come and join our awareness pillar 3-month course. So much value. Please just shared it all and such amazing stories and insights. And this is what we do. storytelling, the
Mhm.
heart, expression, feeling our bigness and boldness. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow with more stories, more shares, more insights. It's day 5. We've hit the halfway mark. So we look forward to seeing you join us again. Let us know that you are watching. Give us a love heart, give us a like, share your takeaways.
Comment, share it.
Yeah,
Share it, please,
do.
because we can only be friends with a certain amount of people. So if you find this valuable, and somebody in your friend list might as well that isn't in ours, so share. We're happy to
Yeah,
share the love, so share, share, share.
love it. See you all tomorrow.
Bye.